Hey guys, how are y'all doing today? The TrailerSmith here. Have you ever had this happen? Well, if you've had this happen, you know it is a mess. Makes a huge mess, huge problem, something we see all the time. It is puking all of your hydraulic fluid out of your pump into your toolbox and all over everywhere. We're going to talk about some of the main causes of that today, how to clean that up, what you're going to be looking at, and then how to bleed all of the air out of the system once that happens. Thanks for tuning in. Remember to go to our channel and check out our other trailer repair videos. Hopefully they'll be a help to you. We also have a Q&A video that we're working on, so if you have any questions or comments concerning any of our videos, or maybe just something that you've experienced on your trailer, please leave those in the comment section below. But for now, let's jump into this hydraulic system and let's go over that. Okay, it's the end of the day. You've just dumped the last load out of your dump trailer. You're ready to get cleaned up and go to the house. And as you're coming down with the bed, you hear this sound. But if at some point the pump stops running and the bed keeps on coming down, you're going to hear the sound of air. And what you have there is air saturating your hydraulic system, making its way into the reservoir. And as it makes its way into the reservoir, it's going to build up a lot of pressure, and it's going to puke all the fluid out of this vent cap, and it's going to empty the reservoir in this toolbox or wherever you have your pump mounted and make a huge mess. So we're going to cover a couple of ways how to maybe prevent that, things to look for, and then we're going to show you specifically how to bleed the air, because whether or not it pukes it all out, or if you catch it in time, you're still going to have air in the system and you still got to have it out. So let's go over those ways. So now we've got the bed down, or your bed may be partially down. You've heard a big gurgle. You open your toolbox, your cap is separated, or you just have fluid everywhere. You've lost all the fluid in your reservoir. You made a huge mess, no matter wherever your pump is at. So now you got a big cleanup to do. What we're going to have to do, we're going to have to refill the reservoir, but before we can refill the reservoir, we're going to need to do some cleanup, but we need to first find out what caused that. 9 out of 10, or maybe 10 out of 10 times, it's low voltage from the battery that causes it to do that. You get below 10 volts, the thing goes crazy. It lets the bed come on down without running the pump and just sucks a bunch of air in there and makes a big mess. Not the end of the world. It is going to be some cleanup, but it's an easy fix. So the first thing we're going to need to do is see what happened. We're going to check the battery first. That's the most common issue, so that's where we're going to start. So one way to check our battery voltage is with a multimeter. You can use a test light. I don't recommend it because it's going to light up even if it's got 5 or 6 volts. So put your multimeter on 20 volts DC, hook it up. We'll see what we got here. And we got 12.5 volts, so we're good. That being said, once this is under load, it could be sucking it down some more. So if you have access to a load tester, this is the best way to do it. You can hook your load tester up. You hit the switch. We're good. It's showing 11.5 volts under load, still showing plenty of cranking amps. So we're good. If this shows to be weak or bad, then you need to replace your battery at that point, especially if it's an older battery. But you may just simply need a charge. Most of the time it's just from overworking the trailer and not getting a good charge. If you're using this trailer commercially, you're going to need to put a bigger charging system off of your tow vehicle with like some 4-gauge battery cable, something along those lines, in order to keep it charged for repetitive use during the day. So the first thing we got to do is we have to get our battery back to fully charged before we address any of the air issues in our pump. And that will also let time for the froth that's been created in the reservoir to settle down. So let's say that we got our battery charged, and now we're going to show you how to bleed the pump. Okay, now that we've got a fully charged battery, the first thing we're going to do is hook our battery charger back up to it. And you ask the question, why do we need to do that? Well, we're fixing to run this bed up and down a bunch of times, so I don't want to drain the battery back down, so we're just going to use this to maintain it. So once you have your battery charger hooked up, the first thing you want to look at is your fluid level. This is already full, obviously, but fill your fluid level up to where it goes. Then inspect the condition of your cap here. If you've blowed this cap off, I've got one here to show you. Sometimes they will break, sometimes you can put them back together. But if I can find it, If that is full of hydraulic fluid, clean that out with some brake cleaner, let it dry, put it back together. Just make sure the cap is in good quality. If not, replace the cap. That's what keeps your moisture and your dirt and all your other gunk out. So reinstall the breather all the way down. Then we'll move on to this screw right here. This is your bleeder screw. So we're gonna open this up. Sometimes it's hard, may need a pair of pliers. There's no need to take it all the way out. It just needs to be loose to let air move around. So what this does, we're gonna raise the bed to full extension, and then we're gonna lower the bed. And if there's any air in the system, it's gonna blow out here. What you wanna look for between every cycle is if it's looking foamy, if it's starting to spew out stuff. If it does, just let it settle for a little bit and repeat the process. You may have to do this 5 times, you may have to do it 10 times, but what you must do is you must be patient and make sure you get all the air out. Once all the air is out of this and you're just moving fluid in, moving fluid out, you can tighten this back down. Make sure this is tight, take your battery charger off, and you'll be good to go. Most of these units today, if you have a newer unit, they have an onboard charger that you just plug an extension cord in, just a household extension cord. Those do a good job, but they're just a trickle charge. So if you have a really dead battery, I recommend hooking it up to a larger battery charger to get that thing back up to where it needs to be. So you run your dump bed up and down several times, checking the fluid level and the consistency of the fluid in between every cycle. After the last run, your fluid looks good. Top it off, make sure it's the right level. Once you've done that, reinstall the breather cap, tighten up your bleeder screw, disconnect your battery, and you're ready to go back to work. So just remember to keep those batteries charged. Low voltage can do a lot of damage other than just overflowing your hydraulic reservoir. It can also damage components like your hydraulic motor. The most common thing that it damages that goes out is your solenoid. You will replace this at some point in the life of this unit. I recommend our customers keeping an extra solenoid because these usually go out right in the middle of your work day when you need it most. They're easy to change if you have a few small socket set laying around. So just keep that battery charged, just maintain your pump, and you'll get a lot of life out of this. Thanks again for tuning in. Hydraulic pump issues are the most common problem we see with dump trailers. So I hope this video gave you some insight on that it may show you how to repair this issue yourself, kind of what to look for if you ever experience this. Remember to give us comments below for the Q&A video coming up, and we'll see you next time.